How can Reddit help your travel brand achieve liftoff?
I'm Steve Clarkson, Content Director at Journey Further. Today's travel brands produce a lot of inspiring and aspirational content, but if they're not using Reddit and connecting with the conversations that are happening there, they're missing a trick, because Reddit is where your audience is sharing experiences, looking for recommendations, and that's a key moment pre-booking to show up and add value as a brand. Where would you start? You'd start by analysing the landscape. You'd look at relevant subreddits that are out there, whether they're brand or operator specific, where you might find people comparing brands, comparing types of customer service. Equally, you could dive into destination themed subreddits and see what people are talking about there. Queries might relate to temperature, to climate, to certain specific destinations within a country or a region. Or you could look at specific audiences, so specific traveller types such as digital nomads or ski communities or family travellers, and look at the pain points that they're talking about and the experiences that they're sharing. And then once you've established which subreddits give you a flavour of the conversations happening in your relevant space, you look at the nature of the topics and conversations that are happening there. It could be relating to best time to travel to X destination. It could be, how do I pack for this type of holiday? So dive into those conversations and start building topical clusters. Build a dozen or so topical clusters that make sense for your travel brand to be part of the conversation, so they could relate to your specific service offering, the regions in which you operate, or the types of audiences that you connect with. Once you've looked at the types of conversations that are happening, you can start to layer in the emotional sentiment analysis on top of that. So are people more excited, anticipated about the travel destinations that they're about to travel to? Is there some frustration about services that they're complaining about or exchanging experiences about? Or is it more that people are looking for information and they're just proactively looking for solutions in quite a traditional Q&A sort of way? So that can start to paint a picture of the nature of topics being talked about and the type of input that people are looking for, whether that's solutions-based responses or whether it's more solidarity, whether it's more experiences that people are just sharing. Once you've understood the conversational landscape, I'd recommend doing a 180 and looking at how your brand shows up on the platform currently. Look at direct mentions of your brand and the types of sentiment associated with it, whether it's reputational, whether it's in terms of type of service. You can soon get a sense of how your brand is perceived, and you might want to lean into some of the positives there and be aware of potentially some of the negatives if there's any reputational risks. That can give you a clear picture of how your brand is perceived and therefore what types of conversations are safe to add some input into. So people might be talking about your brand as overpriced, they might be talking about your brand as great value, they could be talking about your brand and the destinations as overcrowded, premium, luxury. So some of these themes you want to get a clear sense of, because that could really inform the types of conversations you can approach on the platform with more confidence about how you're currently perceived. Phase 1, understanding what's being talked about. Phase 2, what are the emotions behind those conversations? What are people really looking for? Phase 3, how is your brand perceived? Does it have a right to be part of those conversations? Phase 4, actually an opportunity analysis. How do we prioritize which conversations we're going to be adding value to and where? Whether that's hosting an Ask Me Anything, where an employee at your brand is kind of inviting Q&A in a target subreddit where a lot of your audience is based, whether it's starting a thread, whether it's answering where there are no authoritative answers to a question that keeps coming up time and time again. There's a time and a place on Reddit to show up as your brand with authority, with that clarity to connect with conversations that are happening. For more insight about Reddit, please check out our other video where I talk about just how significant Reddit is as a platform in today's era of AI search.